Hello, it's my Eurovision 2021 Top 30 Name Countdown, place number 23. It's Russia, Manizha, Russian Woman. Welcome to Matt Loves Eurovision. Please do click on the subscribe button, click on the notification bell, and like, share, and comment below. Now, I think we've come to what I'd perhaps consider the most interesting artist of the entire contest. Interesting partly because of the song that she's singing, but more than any other country so far, or artist so far, even more than Cyprus with the Church of Cyprus getting involved, more so than any others. This has kind of expanded beyond kind of Eurovision news and Eurovision contests to sort of break into the mainstream media. There's been articles in the BBC and on The Guardian around this, and of course it's not necessarily been about the music, but it's sort of strayed on the areas of politics and society as well. But we'll come on to that a little bit later. But how did this sort of come about that we have such an interesting and, say controversial, but an interesting act representing Russia? Well, Russia had, for the first time since 2012, had a national final where the entrants were voted for by the public. Last year's entry, Little Big, huge stars, really well known, and a really great song they had last year. I think there was an expectation that they might be back, but it was only really at the last minute, sort of, just running up towards the middle of March, when suddenly it was announced that Russia was having a national final. Little Big appeared, but they confirmed at that point that they were not going to be at Eurovision 2021. I'm not quite sure of the reasons why. You never quite know whether those are the real reasons why. Maybe they had a song that they deliberately put in that the broadcaster wouldn't accept. Whatever the reason was, I think the broadcasters didn't have much time left to get things sorted out, and so, which is why I think the national final came together really quite quickly. And you had three songs there, and Manizha's Russian Woman was my favourite of the three when I watched it, and was also won the televote as well. So the song itself, Russian Woman, it's all about kind of the empowerment of Russian women through the ages now, that how things have got better and they're doing more. But it's also a real a kind of sarcastic pop at men and institutions, at their kind of chauvinism and misogyny and sexism, and so there's quite a lot of sarcastic and cynical stuff within the lyrics. It's of the English lyrics, I'm sure there's even more on the Russian side, but yes, it's quite enjoyable, and a really strong message. And I think I wouldn't say this is necessarily the easiest listen. I'm not a huge fan of spoken rap, and there's quite a bit of that in this song, but on the other hand, it has a great big rousing, very Russian soaring kind of chorus, and there's a real passion and meaning behind the song, and it means a lot to Manizha as well. So I think that comes through in something like this, even if you're not necessarily a huge fan of the genre. I think that really comes through in the actual performance that she gives. Now, Manizha is as I said, is a really interesting artist. She is actually from Tajikistan. Her family fled Tajikistan in the early 90s when there was a civil war there, when she was very, very little, and went to Russia, to Moscow, where she grew up. She went to university there. She became a singer involved in music, and she spent time in London and New York as well. But she's also very well known for her her causes of supporting various social causes. So she's been very vocal and very prominent in promoting an awareness about domestic violence and women's rights, and also, and you've got to remember where she's from, and it's Russia. She's been very behind LGBT rights and the advance of LGBT rights, which is really, considering Russia is pretty anti-gay, is a very brave stand, I think. So all in all, she makes for a very interesting artist, and also I think, which is also why we've sort of seen it sort of break out from just being about Eurovision, because unfortunately she's faced a lot of nastiness and backlash from various, far right nationalists, but also even from Russian MPs within the Duma saying that they should pull out of Eurovision, etc., etc. And she did an interesting piece with Steve Rosenberg, who is the BBC's Moscow correspondent, a really good journalist in Moscow. And he, as well as being a great journalist, he's also a huge Eurovision fan as well. Do check his Twitter account out because there's lots of good stuff there. But he did a little piece with her, a 5-10 minute piece with her, where they sort of talked about the kind of the hate that she'd received and all the backlash. But it's made her even more determined to sort of to carry on. And I wish her the best of luck. I really hope this qualifies. It's in not a great slot in the running order in a tough semi-final, but it's the YouTube video's got a lot of hits. I'm sure while she's had a lot of nastiness, there's a lot of support now as well. So one hopes that there's enough of the kind of support just generally across Europe, plus some of the Russian diaspora can get behind this, because I think a lot of Russian songs for Eurovision are really are good. There's no doubt about their quality, but often they are very highly produced, competent. Obviously, lots of backing of the state broadcaster, etc. And whereas this is something really quite different from Russia, so I would like to see it do well. But let's keep our fingers crossed and see how Manizha does.